Okay, I want to talk to you about a little incident that happened. Looks like either yesterday night or yesterday, and this concerns White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Now, a lot of people on the American left hate Sarah Huckabee Sanders because first of all, she's a woman working for the Trump White House, and a lot of them believe that they call her a sellout. Of course, there was the famous Michelle Wolf White House press correspondence dinner that was, she repeatedly insulted Sanders to her face. And basically, they are now taking to, the offensive to attack her personally on her off time. So apparently on Friday night, she went with her family to a restaurant in the Shenandoah Valley. Now, I looked on a map. I'm not from Virginia. Never. I was in Virginia probably like I want to say 20 years ago. So I'm not the best person to ask about it, but it is pretty much on the seam of the Appalachian Range. The Shenandoah Valley separates pretty much the Appalachian Range in West Virginia from basically the coastal areas of Virginia, and so therefore Lexington is kind of in uh, kind of a no man's land. Now, I had thought when I saw this going on that it would probably be in like the more northern area of the state, with the northeast, close to D.C., where there's a big Democratic majority, a lot of government workers that probably wouldn't appreciate Sanders being in their in their close proximity. A lot of these federal workers look at the Trump administration as kind of an enemy, an encroachment on their power. So I was a little surprised that it was there, and apparently it's the location of the Virginia Military Institute and Washington and Lee University, which is a pretty prestigious college over there. I think Washington and Lee has both a graduate and an undergraduate program. It might be a liberal arts college, but in any case, let's read through what happened. Get rid of this window. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders was told to leave a Lexington, Virginia restaurant Friday night. She said on Twitter Saturday morning. Sanders said the owner of the Red Hen in the Shenandoah Valley asked her to leave because she works for President Trump. Last night I was told by the owner of Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia to leave because I work for POTUS, and I politely left. Her actions say far more about her than about me. I always do my best to treat people, including those I disagree with, respectfully, and will continue to do so, Sanders tweeted Saturday morning. So I think this was a good way to phrase it, because you won't be able to accuse her of brigading them in this case. You see, there's an issue when you bring something to light. And first of all, she didn't tag them. I'm pretty sure that they do have a Twitter account, and she didn't tag them or anything, but she didn't mention the name of the restaurant. So the Red Hen, located roughly 200 miles outside Washington, D.C., is a farm-to-table American fare restaurant. CBS News has reached out to the restaurant. The restaurant's owner, Stephanie Wilkinson, explained to the Washington Post why she turned Sanders and her family out of the restaurant. I'm not a huge fan of confrontation, Wilkinson told the Post. I have a business and I want the business to thrive. That's not going to happen now. This feels like the moment in our democracy when people have to make uncomfortable actions and decisions to uphold their morals. Wilkinson had no regrets about her decision. I would have done the same thing again, she said. We just felt there are moments in time when people need to live their convictions. It should say live by their convictions. This appears to be one. Someone who claimed to be Sanders' server seemed to have posted earlier on social media about the incident. That post was tweeted out by Brennan Gilmore, the executive director of environmental group Clean Virginia. And, you know, the, I don't know what this says. I think this must be some sort of order slip. Lexington is a small Virginia town that's home to the Virginia Military Institute and Washington and Lee University. Sanders' father, former Fox News host and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, accused the Red Hen of bigotry for kicking his daughter out of the restaurant. bigotry on the menu at Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia. He tweeted, or you can ask for the hate plate, and appetizers are small plates for small minds. I mean, I'd say some of this is corny bullshit, but I can understand. A lot of fathers are pretty protective of their daughters. So, I'm not surprised by his reaction. Also, given who Mike Huckabee is, he's a big evangelical dude. People took to Yelp to add their thoughts, many of them negative about the restaurant and its apparent refusal to serve Sanders. The vast majority of the reviews today had little to do with the food. Wow, just wow. This restaurant discriminates if it doesn't agree with your political views, one Yelp reviewer wrote Saturday. You have joined a long list of people that open its rude mouth and lose. Shame on you to insult that women nationally. Um, Now it's your turn. By the way, your food stinks. Another reviewer wrote Saturday. So you can even see in the bottom that you see people joining the conversation. There's comments just popping up. The restaurant also had its defenders. One wrote, a restaurant that gave Sarah Huckabee Sanders a little taste of her own medicine. Priceless. I must stop in soon so I can give a real review. Now, the fact, I'm going to address that issue too. People saying that they're going to eat there. The Red Hen might live to regret that. By the end of the day, Yelp posted a disclaimer. This business recently made waves in the news, which means often that people come to this page to post their views on the news. While we don't take a stand one way or the other when it comes to these news events, we do work to remove both positive and negative posts that appear to be motivated more by the news coverage itself than the reviewer's personal consumer experience with the business. Yelp warned that as a result, user posts could be removed as part of its cleanup process. It welcomed users to post your thoughts about the recent media coverage for this business on Yelp Talk at any time. So they do offer an alternative. I think you have to give Yelp credit for that. Apparently, some social media users were also mistaking a DC restaurant. I did see that a DC restaurant, also called the Red Hen, with a Virginia restaurant. The unaffiliated DC restaurant issued this statement on Twitter. Good morning. Press secretary went to the unaffiliated Red Hen Lexington last night, not to our DC-based restaurant. So let's look at some of these reviews, and it's pretty funny. And I'm not posting because I don't want to be accused of, and I'm not even going to post my own review because I think in the end they're just going to be cleaned up anyway, and they're going to delete them just like Amazon does, even to reviews that are positive. I've seen Amazon do it. Anyway, you have people posting a 3-star review. Liberalism is a mental disease. Avoid this eating establishment. Yelp is very liberal and very dishonest. Yelp will allow fake reviews on businesses if they think they are not liberals, but will turn off reviews on a liberal business. Very dishonest. So that, there's people who they go the whole hog here. You see a lot of these, a lot of these very creative people. Nothing was terrible, but nothing was great. Food was mediocre on our plate. Seems to me they rest on their past rep. The menu is old, lacking any pep. Now that the owners who all wear pussy hats see the pic here to see that's a fact, want to take a stand and refuse to serve someone they disagree with raw raging nerve. So they can alienate half of their crowd, and when the sales fall, will scream out loud, my job is done, see you all later, enjoy the prosperity and not be a Trump hater. The point of the tome was to show there is choice and everyone has an equal voice. Surprised to see a lot of support while laughing at others who are not good sports. I'll eat here if you want, but it's not for me. I'll I'll go where there is fairness for all to see. I may not agree with all those I meet, but we'll strive to be pleasant as we pass on the street. Peace out. So I am going to vote for that review because this guy did take a little time to put it in. And then you see this woman and you can tell these are fake reviewers because this guy's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This woman's from Katy, Texas. If more people had more, so the menu is simple and classic, just well prepared food. So they go through like this whole um, premise that they're writing a review about it, but it's not really a review. Um, Let me see here. So there's a lot of people posting like really angry, even racist reviews here, but um, you know, this woman is obviously not going to the restaurant either. Here's another guy from Irving, Texas. How is it okay for Christian bakers to be sued and put out of business for refusing to do business with someone they disagree with, but it's okay for liberals to do it? Look up hypocrite in the dictionary, and you'll be directed to the definition of a liberal. It's only hate if you disagree with them. And then some person put, I mean, this person's from Michigan, and he talks about cockroaches. And then, I mean, this is people are getting really creative. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's hilarious. I would do it if, this one's great. Superimposing this on it and then flies in the soup and whatever. Now, look, waiting for now. Here's a hooker. These are just getting better and better. Now, what they don't reckon with are two things. Okay, so I am going to go look at this later. There's going to be some amazing ones. Some of these are this is way too distracting. Now, what am I trying to say with this? Okay, now on the one hand, I think it is a bit dishonest for people to write Yelp reviews that are misleading, that don't have nothing to do with the restaurant. But honestly, one of the workers did go public and say, "Oh, we kicked out Sarah Sanders." Also, the owner of the restaurant said publicly she regrets nothing. Now, fine, you want to do that. That's your choice. I don't believe in. I don't believe that you should kick customers out. I think the best approach is always to try to serve people with the least amount of friction possible. That's just as a business proposition, nothing to do with politics. I think it's the best way to do it. And I'll explain why in a second. But these people who are trolling on Yelp, they're going to break the system, and Yelp will eventually move away from the 5-star system, and it will ruin Yelp, just like with Amy Schumer, the people who gave her special 1 star, which it did deserve. It was a horrible special. Um, those people, they broke the system on Netflix because Netflix started to say, well, not all of these people saw the Netflix special. Well, unfortunately, there's no requirement for you to see the special in order to review it, or in order to post at least the star rating. And the same thing with Yelp. And the issue here for them, for Yelp, and that's where I'm going to deal with that, is how are they supposed to prove now who went to the restaurant or who didn't? Now you can see some people from Canton, Ohio. So this person from Rancho Cucamonga, California, and then this person from Dallas. You hardly see any people from the state of Virginia. Okay, some people are posting 5-star reviews. You didn't eat at this restaurant. Okay, none of you people ate at this restaurant, and I think that will make this a fuzzy, very difficult thing to determine. I can't trash a restaurant I didn't eat in. I probably wouldn't be eating in the restaurant anyway, because of my dietary issues. And now given this, I probably wouldn't eat there because it sounds like the staff are, they're overly political. And now I'll explain exactly what the connotations for this are for the business in the long run, and why I think it was a stupid decision. Um, Look, I used to work in restaurants. I've worked probably in 5 in my life, and I never want to go back to working at one. But there's always, and this is why, there's always an issue that as a restaurant owner, the goal is always to get more people to dine in, to tip more, to have more drinks. Whether it's just soft drinks could be good, but in whatever case, you want them to buy more accessories, more drinks, things that you don't put a lot of effort into, but you can mark up. And every table that somebody sits down at and they occupy and they eat less, that's lost money for you, because that table, if you're typically a busy restaurant, that table could be making you money. So you're always trying to get people to come in, eat very fast, eat a lot, eat very fast, and then leave a big tip, leave a good. I mean, obviously leave a good Yelp review nowadays, and that's the name of the business. And if you can't get a lot of customers to do that, then your business will probably end up shriveling up and dying, and that's really the name of the game. Now, what this business owner has done is she's basically taken her restaurant in the middle of bumfucking nowhere in Virginia. Again, let's look at the map. This is in the Shenandoah Valley. Now there is a college population, so let's not assume that that nobody can be found. Let's not assume that, for example, that there's nobody there, because there's two universities there. One's a military university. The other one is Washington and Lee. So there are some people there. But if you look at the character of the county, first of all, Lexington, the city, is independent of its surrounding county, which I think is called Rockingham. So you see Lexington City, there's actually a pretty sizable majority for Hillary Clinton, but it's not that big of a city. So they're depending on a pretty small local population if you're just talking about the city. Then you go out, you look beyond the city, you look at the county as a whole, and basically what you're going to have is here, Rockingham County, 69% for Donald Trump. So you can see that there's what they say about small liberal arts colleges in middle of nowhere America. There's a town versus gown divide. The town is the towny people that they many of them are farmers, or they have a small business or whatever, or a tavern or something. And then you have the people who go to the college and they have no connection with the surrounding area whatsoever. And what this will do is it will accentuate that there's a difference between the people of Rockingham County and the people of Lexington City. And that's really that's a microcosm of what's happening in this country. And it's going to be a problem for this business, because the Yelp reviews are not going to be the only ramifications that they get. You're going to get a lot of these crank callers. Unfortunately, I don't want people to call this business and harass them, because obviously that would be wrong. However, that's going to happen. I guarantee you, because we can already see the whole Yelp review fiasco. Then the other issue that you have to think about are other more aggressive forms of harassment. Now, I'm not just talking about protests. Protests would be in some cases, protests help because they give you more attention and more buzz. In some cases, they're not the worst thing in the world. But worse than a protest would be people coming in and dine and dash. They come in, they pretend, oh, we're going to have, this cut or whatever. Then they get up and leave. Especially if they come during a rush hour or something. One of them pretends to go to the bathroom. The other one basically goes to the car, fires up the car. The other person dashes out and they leave. Okay, and they don't leave any. For one thing, they of course, people like that, you can call the cops on them or whatever. Who's to say that the cops are gonna? The cops don't give a fuck about dine and dash people. I remember there used to be dine and dash people at the restaurant. So, some of the restaurants that I worked at, and you would just let it go. Now, we lived in pretty built up suburban area, so it might be that we weren't, we were used to the cops not giving a shit what we were doing. But I can tell you that when you have a lot of dine and dash people, it's a huge damage to a restaurant, because you're basically seating people. You're having them dine in, wasting your space, because you only have a certain number of tables and you have a certain number of wait staff, and you've basically wasted you've wasted the food, you've wasted the staff, you've wasted the space on those customers, and they leave. And that is going to happen. I guarantee you that there will be a few, maybe even just some people who don't give a fuck about politics. Let's pretend for a second that some people don't give a shit about Sarah Sanders. With all due respect, not everybody cares about this. They just want to screw with the restaurant, and that happens. That's what happened with that idiot that swatted David Hogg's house. you know, that guy did something wrong, but he apparently had absolutely no political conviction behind it. So what you're going to get, instead of her getting more and more customers that are good, she might get some, but realistically, she's also going to get a lot of people that are complete assholes coming and harassing her business. So that's not smart business. You always want to get positive business by doing the right thing and getting customers to like your business for the right reasons. The people that think that this is going to get her more and more business are a bit naive. Okay, it's difficult to think in the long run that people are going to drive all the way to the Shenandoah Valley in, or, in order to have dinner at a restaurant just to make a point. The college population there could be significant numbers that do support what she does, right? Now it depends what's the price on the menu. Okay, so that's it. I wonder what you guys are thinking. I wanted to make this a little more of like a business centric, you know, survey of this situation. Obviously, I wouldn't, you know, in my place, I wouldn't have done what this business owner would have done, because I don't think that you should basically filter your customers by political affiliation. I think it's a horrible idea, and I think it is going to really, you know, bite them in the ass, and they're going to live to regret it, unfortunately. So have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll talk to you later.